It's been a minute. I've been gone, but here we are again with Tactical Tuesday Talks. I'm going to start kicking it back up. I went to go live the last 3 times, and Instagram changed their settings to where you had to have 1,000 followers before you can go live. And I had gone live. This is episode 19. So I had 18 episodes prior that I went live no problem, and then Instagram decided to change all their settings, and I had to get to 1K, and I made a post about that. And everybody, thank you for helping me get to that 1K mark. I know it's not like a huge thing, but trust me, it really is. 1K is like the biggest landmark for anybody that's doing any type of social media things. That 1K mark is like that's a good goal to reach. Everybody wants to reach that goal. So thank you all for helping us reach that. It's not really about the follows. It's really about the who we can engage with. So it's I don't care about blank followers. I want engaging followers. I don't care about bots and all that stuff. I'm not going to ever buy follows. The number doesn't matter. The number equates to how many people I can reach, and that's what's important to me. So again, thank you all for that. Tonight we're going to be joined with Dylan. He's a guy I met through another mutual friend. So I'll let him go ahead and introduce himself a little bit about what he does and what his channel is about, so you guys can go follow him too if you agree with what he is about to tell you. So go ahead, Dylan, tell him about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Dylan. I run the Prepared Father YouTube channel. I also run Gideon Defense Concepts. It's an AVER and CERT instruction, so active violence emergency response training and community emergency response training. All I do is like to prepare the average citizen, and particularly the parents out there, with the knowledge, information, and eventually skills to defend themselves and their loved ones.
Okay. Sounds good to me. So at the end, we'll obviously, when we repost this, we'll have all the links for his page and everything, so you guys can go give him a follow as well. Take it, you can even jump out real quick. You can go, to his page, check him out, follow him, then come back in and catch on what we're talking about tonight, which is firearms companies with anti-gun statements, because that has been kind of a topic that's been popping up here recently. And I'm going to point a finger at you, Glock. I am not a Glock fanboy. I never really was. I like them. I think they're great. I think they're like the Apple iPhone, the most generic, like cookie cutter gun on the market, but they are tried and true. So they recently came out with a statement. If you are unaware, not so much a statement, and actually I've done a lot of digging on this, and I found one post that has like a glimpse of this letter. It has not been publicly released. I have searched. I've had ChatGPT dig this, scour the internet for me, and I have not been able to find this document. So I can't confirm or deny that it's a factual thing and not clickbait. But going into other sources that are talking about this conversation that Glock had with, I believe, an Oklahoma Safety Department or Oklahoma House Public Safety. Basically, they're talking about the Glock switches. This is all about the Glock switches, and Glock's basically just covering their butt. This isn't the first time a gun company has come out with a anti-gun statement in order to cover their butts legally. But that's the topic. Now, Dylan, have you heard about this letter and this controversy stuff that's been going on with Glock?
Yeah, it's kind of running rampant in the content creator circle.
Yeah.
Very, very much clickbaity. I will say I lean more towards your thought process, and they're kind of just covering their ass. But in a time where, SIG is completely fallen off the map in terms of reliability and credibility, I think for Glock to go out of its way to even say anything about any sort of gun control right now is a huge loss on their end.
Yeah. And so basically all they were doing is they were going out and saying, hey, people are putting switches on our firearm. They're doing all this stuff with our gun. We are not condoning that. We don't manufacture or sell them to the general public as a machine gun. We're not for it. Hey, we don't we're not for people taking our firearms and making them an illegal. We'll say illegal because that's, as of right now, they are legally illegal. And that's all they're doing is saying, hey, we're not condoning this. We're not selling these kits. They're getting them black market. They're getting them secondhand, or they're making them. They're 3D printing them, whatever, to make these switches that everybody in Chicago is saying, "Hey, man, we got switches now. Yeah, cool. Well, we can take on the National Guard because we got switches." Uh, if you've ever shot a full auto switch, any handgun, that is the most inaccurate scatter shot piece of hardware you've ever had in your hands. That is not controllable. Um, no. So I found a couple other references that were very similar to what Glock's going through. Smith, I guess so Smith and Wesson had made statements about every gun that pretty much had been in a lawsuit pertaining to, hey, this individual used your gun to hurt a bunch of people, so it's your fault.
Yep.
And now we're looking at Remington. Remington Arms is no longer a company because of this exact thing that Glock is trying to prevent from happening to them. If you all remember what happened to Remington, I have it pulled up here if we could get to the date. Well, 2022 is when the lawsuit happened from Sandy Hook. That was back in 2012. So 10 years later, there was a lawsuit for $73 million for Remington because their firearm was used in a quote unquote mass shooting, which that's a whole other topic. But I think it's like 3 or more people that die. It's considered a mass shooting. No. So they lost. They're no longer a company. They were only in making ammunition. Now they're back in as Rem Arms. So they're back, but they had to completely rebrand themselves, essentially, after this lawsuit. But they took on an entire firearms company because of lawsuits, because their firearm was used in a heinous act. So Glock's just covering their butt. I mean, if they're saying all this now, like, hey, they're doing that stuff, we don't condone that at all. That way they can't go, hey, there's someone with a Glock switch just killed 100 people. It's your fault, Glock.
Yeah. Yeah. What I've noticed too is the people who are most vocal about, Glock being anti-gun are people who are, very, positively very 2A, you know what I mean? But I feel like instead of looking at through like the lens of this doesn't have to be like they're anti-2A, it's more of like that we're anti-bullshit. You know what I mean? Like I'm not trying to see my product in the hands of a 12-year-old South Chicago teen who goes spraying into an apartment complex. And I won't even single out, Chicago. It's anywhere in California, any large major city has
Any
an
city with blue on the
epidemic
map.
of people who and there's not a race, religion, or creed that is solely responsible. It's completely the culture of flexing guns as a way to show manhood. Like I got the biggest gad or whatever it is. It's not really a thing that any self-respecting gun owner wants to have.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's you probably see more of that. Like I'm out in the country here. You're down in like Metro Detroit area, so you know all about that. Up here it's a different vibe. It's a completely different gun culture vibe up here. It really is.
Yeah, yes, it is. So I work with a crisis unit in Detroit 5 days a week, and it is a regular basis that we run into, some 15 to 18-year-old who's going through some mental health issues. His parents call or school calls, and we end up kind of middlemaning that person, and it's like they have photos all over their Instagram and social media of switches and the dangerous stuff.
Which is wild to me that you're going to go on social media and basically tell the world, hey, here's this illegal thing I've got. Now you can find me.
What happened to discretion?
No, yeah, no kidding. Just a quick little Google search too, just to see firearms companies that made gun control statements. You had Smith and Wesson back in 2000, again because of a lawsuit. Vista Outdoors, which is I believe they're a supply company. So there's a retailer that Vista Outdoors. That was a big one. BlackRock. Well, that's actually not even a they publicly traded guns. That's a group. Daniel Defense has CEO. I do remember that was not too long ago. That they had a statement that they said they were not for that. I'm trying to find that exact statement because I do remember recently that everybody was all in a stink about Daniel Defense. Remember that? It was like two
Yes,
years
I
ago.
do. Yes, I
Yeah.
do.
Um, what was that here? Marty Daniel from CEO of Daniel Defense testified before the House Oversight Committee after one of his company's AR-15 style rifles was used in Uvalde, Texas school shooting, and Daniel argued the mass shootings are a local problem that have to be solved locally, blah blah blah, and deflected blame from his company. But they were trying to blame him again. Every time something happens, they don't just blame the individual; they have to go after the tool that the individual used. So why do we still have Ford, Chevy, and Chrysler out on the road if they're causing, their vehicles are causing deaths, I don't know, from negligent drivers, but they were driving a Ford, so it should be the Ford's problem.
Absolutely, or even be like, if the statistics are correct, even like Milwaukee or a Home Depot or something like hammers are involved in more murders each year than there are like actual like gun on gun
Yeah.
murder. You know what I mean? So
Oh yeah.
it, it's a talking point. It's a something people there's an actual word for it, but it's just a tool people use to add justification or cause or a half-ass solution to the issue, because there is an issue. I can agree with that. I think you can agree with that. School shootings
Mhm.
are an issue. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Mass shootings in general are an issue. But to go after any tool or any not the main cause of it. And the main cause of it is the combination of lack of mental health treatment, lack of positive outlets, and an availability of soft targets.
Yeah. There's a lack of strong men,
Yep.
a lack of strong hard
Mass.
men. That's what we're seeing here in this current generation. Um, So I don't know. Like I'm not going to claim to be an '80s child because I spent 6 months in the '80s. I'm a '90s child. I was born in '89, but I'm part of like that last tail end of a generation that still actually knows how to be a basic decent human being.
Yeah, I'm with that. I was born in '94, so
Yeah, you're even closer to the cup.
yeah, a large portion of my childhood is still like no internet. And when I did have the first internet, it was dial up.
Yeah, yeah,
It was never like it is now, where it's like this 24/7 news cycle, which I feel like stresses out the entirety of America.
yeah. Because they always pushed, and then it's media companies will keep pushing a small little detail of information, and they will push it on so many channels that they will convince the general populace that it is happening everywhere and it's big news, and it's not. They're tricking you. It's a big media scam. It's how they do it. They can take the smallest little thing and spread it through 20 different news outlets and just flood it. And if it's flooded, you're going to think, oh, it's important. It's crazy. It's happening all over the place. It's widespread. No, it happened like 2, 3 times,
Yeah.
but one time, or it even hasn't even happened yet, and they're just predicting.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, it's not to say that there's people in this newer generation that aren't you know good. I'm just
Right.
saying that it's less,
Absolutely.
you know. But um, I think everybody needs to chill with like now. If Sig came out and said that, that's a different story. Like they're already in the doghouse. Like
Oh yeah.
and then they have the. We'll jump over to Sig here for a second, just because I want to hear your opinion on this one. If you're going through what you're going through as a company, why would you have the audacity to release a new firearm right now? It's probably not the best thing for them to do.
Dude, I mean, So I'm gonna try to take my personal opinion out of it because I, expect the way they have reacted to the entirety of this controversy has made it has left a true permanent stain on gun culture, period, but especially that company. But so if I take my personal feelings out of it, dude, I have no idea how Sig thought it was a good idea. All right, they're talking about the 320. Drop another one on them. You know what I mean? Like, come on, guy. Like, let it, dude. I feel like it's not even like I'm from a business standpoint. I get it. You know what I mean? I totally get it. You don't want to have liability. You know what I mean? But you can wiggle around liability while offering the. My guess is somewhere in the hundreds of people who have gone through this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't. I think that was just bad PR on their point. I
The
mean,
worst of the worst.
it's just, and I talked to a local store just recently here about the whole stick problem. In our opinions, and he kind of was starting to convince me in a way that I'm not 100% like burning sig at this point. In a way, it's more so he's like they have to. How did he put it? He's like they're only have. It's the same thing we were just talking about. The amount of 320s that are actually having a problem is so minuscule to the amount of 320s out in the world.
Yep.
I agree with that. Yeah, it is a very small amount. However, and actually there hasn't been any of the M18s, these actual service ones that have had the issues. It's only been the civilian P320, which is law enforcement and civilian. The M18 have actually not had this issue. They have had these like similar issues, and we were just now actually learning more information with the Air Force death that it was definitely more negligent and airmen messing around. Go figure. So there's more information that came out to that where initially it was like, oh, this looks bad. And then after there was an investigation, it's like, oh, okay, well, you get a pass on that one. But I think SIG's going to start riding that. Like, oh, see, it's not, we're good.
Yeah, I will. I am. My only issue is I still am skeptical about the airman. I know they did make an arrest on it, but because there hasn't been an entire like post arrest slash trial documentation available, I'm not. It's not like I'm saying like the airman is completely at fault or Sig's completely at fault. I just don't even know what.
I think they're both at fault.
I can agree with that.
The
I
airmen,
think somewhere
the
along the
airmen
way
were
they were.
negligent and they were irresponsible. They were messing around. They were not practicing good safety. I jumped the gun, talked to my sister who's in the Navy, and she does basically Navy military police. And I was like, "Do you ever drop your duty gun with your gun still in the holster? Do you just down it?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, all the time." I'm like, "Okay, well, where is that gun pointing though? This is what I'm trying to make a point here. You're not helping me." And she's like, "Oh, it's in that, and it's just sitting down on the ground." I'm like, "So you never put it horizontal, right?" She's like, "No." I'm like, "Okay." See that this is the point I'm getting at. You don't take your gun and holster off and then put it horizontal, and if you do, you point it towards a wall, or you just I mean, if you're on duty, you're not going to unload your gun. I understand that. I've done this before, but I've done that before. But when you down something, you put it where it's down and safe,
Yes.
not on a desk horizontal facing the room. But again, we're finding out that there was more that happened there. But now SIG's got to come out with these new videos, which good on them. And also, like, I see what they're trying to do with their two new videos that they put out about here's how this 320 is supposed to work.
Yeah.
Like, okay, cool. I get it. This is how it's supposed to work. That's not happening, my guys. Like, I get it. In a blueprint, I understand how the firearm's supposed to work. I did gunsmithing too. I can look at a schematic and a chart and go, yeah, these parts all go here. And then when you go to do it, like, hey, something's not lining up. Something ain't working. Something's broken.
Yeah. And I know that. So what I can do is there's a fellow content creator who goes by Pro Japan, and
Mm.
he does a pretty deep dive into the 320 slash M18 issues that we have been seeing, and what it looks like to me is that there is a problem with the sear engagement. Now, I'm not sure the depth of that issue, but I know that a former SIG engineer put out a patent for a improved sear design, and SIG has basically put that under the rug instead of saying, okay, that does look like a more feasible option.
Yeah.
So, this is it's such murky water, and without one side saying it's SIG and SIG saying it's the negligence of the operator,
Yeah.
it's just making the whole thing weird.
SIG trying to make a statement that it's a bunch of whole, anti-gun people trying to come after them. Like, no, like it's gun people coming after you. It's the gun community, SIG. If they ever do see this post, whatever, they won't. But it is the gun community that is up in arms, not the general populace. It is not the anti-gun community. It is the pro-gun community that is like, SIG, admit you have a problem, fix it, take after your little brother Taurus there, who's this little guy fishing pond that, hey, we have a gun that's experiencing an issue. Please unload it, check your serial number. If it matches, send it in so we can fix it. Hey, admit you have a problem, but
Yeah.
get a solution for the problem, and then fix the problem. There you go. You're good.
Yep. Yep. I completely agree with that. And I think I don't know if you've paid attention to the Trigger Tech, the
Yeah,
Ace Trigger Tech recently. The way that they have responded in comparison to the way SIG responds, it's so night and day. It just they gave SIG the blueprint of what to do.
yeah.
You know what I mean? At least my opinion. What do you think?
I haven't seen their statement, and I only saw briefly that video. Me and Kevin, we're gonna do a live like reaction video to it because I only saw like a little clip of it, and it kind of was like, hey, there's something going on with Trigger Tech, cool, something else. But one thing I will say about that, I'm sure they made a better statement than SIG did, and I will look it up after this. But without even watching that video and understanding that it's an aftermarket performance trigger, without even watching that, I can already tell you that problem that probably had was either because it is a performance, probably adjustable trigger, that it was either installed incorrectly, or because it's performance triggers, sometimes they're super sensitive.
Yes.
That that's so. My buddy of mine just put it. He's like, the trigger's wild. It's crazy. It's whatever. Um, anytime you put in something aftermarket, you need to be confident in your skills of putting it in, or the gunsmith that's putting it in, to make sure it's done correctly and inspected, because it is aftermarket. You're taking it from the factory to custom. So
Yep.
anytime there's that, that's already like, all right, I keep take that one of those ones more with a grain of salt. It's like, oh, this Trigger Tech went off and it wasn't supposed to. I'm like, yeah, but it's not stop. It's not. It's an aftermarket performance trigger.
Yeah. And so I know that like kind of the ideology of Trigger Tech was kind of lessening the gap between USPSA shooters who are using CZ Shadow 2, Staccatos, Infinities, Atlases, and the standard, average Joe who can afford a nice Glock. I said we're trying to take away some of the difference in trigger performance for the average person. So listen. If I'm trying to reach peak USPSA capability, I will admit that there is some shortcuts you may take to get there that may affect the safety of like the drop safe. But my thing is, if you're inserting a mag a little bit too hard and then it fires, that's when it's like, all right, you know what I mean? Like that
Yeah.
might be a problem.
And when I just did a quick little search of it's just their Ace trigger, and apparently it's having drop safety issues. So my guess is that there's some tolerances in that their tab for the drop safety. If you're familiar with how the back of the trigger bar goes into the block for the Glock triggers, and there's a little tab that's actually your drop safety, and the trigger bar moves that up out of the slot. And if
Yeah.
the trigger's not pulled, it's in that slot and it prevents it from moving. So I'm guessing that they have some tolerances in there that they probably polished something maybe too much or too rounded it off too much, or in whatever case that to try to smooth out the whole action of the trigger. Because everything that moves, you need to want it to be polished and the smooth edges. I'm guessing there's something in there that they just did a little too much.
Yeah.
Or they just had a batch that just had bad QC. That happens. Anytime, I just talked about this to somebody the other day. When, like for us for holsters, my QC is high because my volume is low. If my volume goes up, my QC has the potential of going down.
Yep.
So anytime you have a company where their production is going up, their QC is going to go the opposite direction. You can't ramp up production and QC at the same rate. Nobody has the money for the manpower for that.
Mm.
Can't do it. So a lot of people get like they missed that whole point. And it's like, yeah, well, if they're producing a couple 100,000 triggers and maybe they have a facility with 40, 50 people in it, are they going to inspect every single trigger? Do you want a 5 to 10 week lead time for a trigger? Because if you don't mind that, then you can get your 100% QC.
Yeah.
You know, you want to wait longer? Cool, we'll QC it for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I
Yep.
think that, just from, talking with a couple of gun shop owners, is when what Trigger Tech was kind of coming out and selling it, um, it would aid in their ability to sell it to the gun shops, not just the individual or online sales. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
they just placed mass orders. You know what I mean? So when they place an order for, 1,000 trigger techs before they're even off the assembly line, my guess is just like you said, that QC capability is going to go down. If there's 5 people on QC and 10 people on production, if there's 20,000 triggers waiting to be made, they're going to take 2 people off of that QC line and put them on the production line.
Yeah. And especially when you have a company like Trigger Tech's got a huge name when it comes to precision triggers. And
Yep.
the Glock triggers are fairly new. Um, they're fairly new for them. Like they've always been Remington 700 Savages, bolt gun stuff, and AR bolt and cassette style triggers.
Yep.
But they've got a name next to Timney. It's Timney Trigger Tech, and I think there's one other company out there that makes like really nice triggers. And it's escaping me right now. But so when you hear Trigger Tech's got a Glock trigger, you're like, cool, I'm on that because they haven't messed up yet. Well, that's another thing. Give them some grace here, everybody, because this is new. I mean, Glock triggers are not new, and I mean, come on, they're not that hard to mess up. It's like messing up an AR trigger. How can you do that? But it is new to them, and they're making something that's not just like they're not making an OEM part. They're making a performance trigger, and it's the first time they're ever producing a Glock trigger. Yes, they've had testing before they went into production. I understand that, but you're going to run into these issues. Anytime there's a first run of anything, I almost guarantee you can look at every product. No product was ever perfect when it came through its first iteration.
Absolutely. And
So,
even look at Glock, you know what I mean? I think back in the 80s, Glock had, the, term Glock leg because someone or some people had some negligent discharges due to the fact that they're so used to the strength of a double action pull from a revolver that when they're switching over to a duty-based Glock trigger, they had some issues. You know what I mean?
I think the Glock trigger definitely had some issues with not resetting. I think it was one of
Yeah.
the issues that they had, trigger bar sticking, things like that. So back to all of it really, but every firearms manufacturer out there has had something that they released that has had an issue.
Yeah.
Every single one of them has had that. We're not saying that SIG's the only one that's having that. Oh, they're the only ones that have an issue with their gun. They're the only one that is screwing up the public response, their PR stuff with their mess up and not taking ownership of it. All the other companies like, hey, we got a problem. Here's the recall. Here's the replacement part. Whatever. They fix it. And they go, yeah, that screwed up. But none of them have been going off in holsters, just saying. Some of them didn't fire at all, like a bunch of Smiths and Rugers and stuff. They just didn't shoot. A bunch of old Savage 22s that never worked from the factory. I mean, but none of them were just going off with a little. A little
Yeah.
bump.
Yeah, and the way that the SIGs are going off is, it SIG can say till they're blue in the face, like this isn't a problem with our gun, and it's all negligent on the part of the operator. But just from the videos that you're seeing, and some of the firsthand accounts, yeah, I would just be I'd be so hard pressed to err on the side of SIG given the evidence we have. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah. And just to answer some of the comments in here at Alpha Gator things, he was saying never buy the first run of anything. I 100% agree. I don't, and I even made that mistake with my car. You never want to buy the first run of any product. I don't care if that company has an outstanding track record and they come develop a new product. Let somebody else test it. But the problem with that mindset is if everybody has that same mindset, that company won't sell a single product because everyone's waiting for that whole second run. But they need that first run to go out
Yep.
in order to be able to go, hey, here's our stuff. But I agree. I agree with you. Be very If you're going to buy it, at least be very leery and be understanding that, hey, if this does have an issue, you bought the first iteration of the first run of it. So don't go crying because their stuff is broke because hey, you bought the first run. So
Absolutely.
I definitely agree to that.
And I that's what I was telling people when the RXM came out from Ruger. I was like, listen, Ruger has had a history of semi-reliable guns, even though not the greatest, but semi-reliable. But I still was like, listen, like, take it to the range and like make love to this thing, man. You know what I mean? Like this thing, you have to be so confident in this thing's capability for it to, it's partially it is a Gen 3 Glock, not that hard to make. But on the very other side, it's like, okay, this is the cassette style slash FCU style plug and play type handgun, and the only one. So there's Zev who makes like that, the elongated kind of FCU, but that's a little bit more robust than FCU like a 365 or a 320. So I was cautioning people to take it easy and to put usually my benchmark for like an everyday carry or something that they would carry on a semi-regular basis is put 1,000 rounds through it. I'd be like, okay, bump that up to 1,500. You know what I mean? Have such a confidence that this thing is going to be safe. No like obvious glaring issues. Like I said, it's the first run. Gonna have some issues, although the RXM has proven to be pretty reliable and robust.
If
Since
I've got one in the cart ready to go.
Yeah, dude, they're great. You know what I mean? I shot probably 800 rounds out of mine. And I'm a pretty big fan of it.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, is people always make these things about, oh, they'll make a statement about a gun or something and they've got like 100, 200, like a box or two of ammo out of it. Like, great, you just burnt the factory grease off that you probably didn't wipe off because most people don't. Like, good on you. Most guns aren't broken into the first, like, I mean, 400 or 500 rounds, I think, it might be 400 to 900 rounds, depending on manufacturer. But I think on average, the ones that I've seen were 400 or 500 rounds was their barrel break-in.
Yeah,
Um, so you're not even getting that thing broken in until that point, and that's not even like full broken. That's just getting like initial break in.
yeah,
Like you're saying, 1,000 to 1,500 rounds. Even I would say it's fair to say even over 2,000. That if after 2,000 rounds, everything's kind of worn in together, and it's jabbing good. And you're gonna have most issues that you're gonna see if you're gonna have any, you're gonna happen before that.
yeah,
But everybody does like they'll take this I have let me the reverse side of that. I've got my SIG and I've got 400 rounds to it. I don't have any issues. I've got this gun and I put 200 rounds, 1,000 rounds to it. I don't have any issues. Like, cool, yours is good.
yeah,
You know the issue. I'll jump back to cars because it's a good analogy. It's like when they issue out recalls for cars, they give you a serial number range and say, hey, your vehicle is either affected or not affected by the recall. Not all of them. Very rare is it's like, nope, every single one has this issue. Nope, just a select few that we found. So that everyone coming up with that statement of like, well, mine's good, cool. Yours isn't part of the problem. Carry on.
Yeah.
Put it, aim the thing at your nuts, and we'll see if it. And if you're that confident, then just start appendix curing. Get 320 if it's not the problem.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't know if you saw the video. There is man, I want to say it was like in Brazil maybe. A guy was walking into a garage and he was an off-duty cop carrying an appendix, a P320, and he put it either he pushed it deeper into his holster or tried to like put his thumb around it and pull up like off his belt, and it fired one off, and now he's got one less, if you know what I'm talking about.
Isn't that the officer that they were talking about? That he didn't. It wasn't even in a holster. He just tucked it in his pants. If this is the same one I'm thinking about,
I heard it was in a holster, but if he tucked it in his pants, then that was kind of karma.
I might have to look that one into it because I think that one was just in his pants. Because when that was the one that I spoke about in one of my videos about, he went into the court and the court ruled. This is where it was funny. They said, "Hey, so you carried a 320 in your pants without a holster, knowing that it was unsafe. So because they weren't going to pay him the insurance payout for the injury. Or no, this wasn't a Brazil. This was Massachusetts or Maryland something. This was a U.S. cop.
Okay.
Well, this was a different. It was a different one. But this, you didn't hear that one?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's this the guy that was very similar, but it was still a police officer. I think he was northern east coast. But they made the statement in court that we're not going to pay out the damages because you willingly carried a firearm that is known to be unsafe. And I was like, excuse me, is the court saying that SIG is unsafe? Like, that's going on record, right? A SIG? The
Yeah.
court's agreeing with everybody.
Yeah.
You have nothing now. You're unsafe. Fix it.
And dude,
I
I know that
yeah.
SIG in their statement said we've won a whole. Either they said we won all of our lawsuits or a whole bunch of them, or they made in some insinuation that they haven't lost in court. But off the top of my head, I know they've lost at least 3. It appears to be soon 4 lawsuits on the SIG discharging on its own. You know what I
Now,
mean?
you mean lost or settled? Because they're going to probably see settles as not a loss.
I think you may be right. I think it might be settled.
I guarantee you. I don't know. I'm not legal. I don't know anything legal. I'm dumb when it comes to that stuff. But I'm pretty certain that these bigger companies are not going to see settling as a loss because it's just if
They're
they
admitting
won't.
no
Yeah,
wrong.
it is. And if you settle, you're losing. It's just you're admitting like, all right, fine, fair, but I don't want to lose everything. It's just,
Yeah, I do think you agree because I think that when you settle, part of settling is not admitting fault.
yeah, you're just paying out.
Yeah,
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 you can only settle if you get deep pockets.
that's that the truth.
Um, let's see here. I had notes and I threw them on the ground. Um, so off the top of your head, any other firearms companies that you can think of that have made uh, a statement that has put the firearms community in an uproar, making them think that, they're anti-gun, this and that. Daniel Defense and Glock now are probably the only big two that I think have been publicly noted that Colt. There's another
Oh
one.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Colt.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't know why I forgot about Colt. They pulled all of their civilian lines of rifles because they said that our firearms. I'm not. This is not a quote, by the way. I'm going to paraphrase this. That their firearms are not for the civilian populace and that they shouldn't have them. It should be for military only. Therefore, these guns, we're not going to sell to the public anymore. We'll sell these guns to the public. And then they got bought out by CZ, and CZ's like, that was dumb. Colt's back on the market. Menu, boys.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was the worst thing they could have done.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so that was another one. But nobody, I mean, the gun community hyped up about that, but nobody really like blew up like, well, Colt said it. Like, well, because it's Colt. It's Colt. Colt is like the boomer fire AR company. Like, it is the OG. It is. But I'm not a big, I don't care. But Kevin, what's the interview with for on our SIG talks or the couple that you did about SIGs? Because you had a couple that we've talked about like this kind of stuff. But yeah, thanks, CZ. Thank you for CZ. CZ has saved quite a few companies. They have been acquiring a lot.
Yeah.
Um, and what's the company that bought a Browning? I think bought out Winchester and started
Yep.
like all their SXPs have pretty much just been Browning clones at this point. Yeah, me and Kevin, we talked about this 320 thing. I forgot. I think you did a couple others, Kevin. That's why I was just getting a reminder. But so yeah, Kevin on the Pop Culture 223 podcast. You can check out that video where me and him talk about pretty much the same concept topic. We're just kind of going in a little bit deeper about gun companies and their PR mess ups and faults.
Yeah.
Um,
So I think Ruger bought Anderson Pop Culture.
yeah, Ruger did. They bought out, but I think they bought it and and shut it down. So they're not acquiring it. They bought them out
Yeah.
and so they didn't really acquire them in a sense because they're no longer manufacturing them. I think they're just going to take over their manufacturing facilities to utilize them to manufacture Rugers. That's my opinion. That's not a fact. I haven't read that anywhere, but just from an understanding point, Anderson was a huge OEM manufacturer, like huge.
Yeah.
People don't realize that how many of their big named and mid tier, top tier AR stuff that they're like, I got this and that. Like, cool, Anderson made it for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
You know, oh well, it's different specs. Like, yeah, still made
On
the
the
same
same
factory.
machines.
Yep. So I have two Anderson lowers and PSA lowers, and you can call me a poor boy special, whatever you want. I don't care. But those things have run thousands of rounds through them with no hiccups. I had no problems putting them together. No burrs, no fitment issues, no spec issues, nothing. Again, those are two out of 200,000 plus, whatever. I get that. Mine are good. Has there been issues? Yes. Has there been other manufacturers that are big, Daniel Defense, that have come out with a firearm that has been like, oh, this is not running that good? Again, if it's high performance, tighter tolerances, you will have performance issues. They need a higher break-in period. Your Kimbers, your Staccato, I don't know about Staccato. I won't speak on them. You have one, you might be able to speak on it. But I know for like Kimber's tight. Like you got to put like 1,000 rounds through a Kimber before it's actually running good. They are stiff and tight tolerance, like from the out of the box. I don't know if Staccato's like that or not.
Staccato. So I think Staccato recommends a break-in period, but it's kind of weird to be honest because I think the recommended break-in is only Staccato ammo. And it wasn't on the C or CS that I had, but the XC and like the P had they recommended break-in period of 500 rounds. Now
Yeah.
I have only seen break-in issues with like one or two in the hundreds that I've seen, either in class or on the range or training with buddies. Um, but on the one or two that I did see, they were significant issues.
Yeah. Um, so I think we've been going about 45 minutes now. I forgot our timeline on IG Live, what timeline they give us. I think it's right around the 45 mark, maybe I don't or an hour. I don't have a countdown or timer. I think they just randomly will kick us off. But all in all, basically what me and Dylan are talking about here, and to wrap it up, is gun companies are not anti-gun. They're just making PR statements to cover their butts because people like to sue people because they're dumb and
Yeah,
for stupid reasons. So don't get all bent out of shape because Glock made a statement that appears to be anti-gun. It's just a PR thing. It's all politics. Let it blow over. Don't worry about it. Still buy their product. Still use their product, and support the gun companies that you like the most. Don't worry about what they're saying PR wise. Don't get all the whole. Just don't get into it. I mean, if you do, you do. But I'm not going to get into that.
no, I'd say I wouldn't swear by um because listen, like anytime a gun company does vicariously promote gun control, I do get weary of it. But when it's something so blatantly ass covering as switches are bad, ban them. It's like, come on, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
they're already illegal. You know what I mean? On a federal level, in every state, there's some law banning switches.
yeah.
Um, So I'm not going to die on the hill of, any company that makes a public statement disowning, Switch users or people, I will say people that are anti, ghost gun, I get kind of weary of, you know what I mean? Because that's more saying you don't like people manufacturing their own firearms. But on, I have some wiggle room there. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I do not give a shit if a company comes out and says, listen, I'm gonna ban we're not pro Switch. It's like, dude, no one who truly admires firearms, trains properly, is pro Switches. I don't know anyone.
So I've got a lot of time behind full auto, and it's fun, and that's all it is fun. In an actual battle, in an actual fight, full auto, great, has its uses. Funny enough, though, the Marine Corps is switching back to, or they're trying to pull away from full auto stuff. So all our machine gun teams and everything like that, machine gunners, they're switching to having full auto capability, but having a weapon system that's actually semi-auto, more accurate. They're going to carry more ammo on them, and they're leaning more towards like if you need full auto for suppression fire, because that's what full auto is. People don't
Yes.
like that's all it is. You're putting a lot of bullets downrange. When bullets are downrange, the enemy is not moving. Therefore, you can move without getting shot at. That's really what it's for. Can you be accurate? Yes. Is it really what that's meant for? No.
Right.
But is it fun? Yeah.
Yeah.
Should I
Oh,
think
it's a
everybody should be able
blast.
to do it? Yeah.
Yep.
So do I think that switches should be illegal? No, but they are. So suck it up. That's what it is. It's illegal right now. All it is, like we've been taught saying, is the company's just saying, "Hey, it's illegal right now. Nothing out of our hands." But I think what they're saying is like, even if they were illegal, we wouldn't produce them. Like, okay, that's what you got to say because you got to cover your butt. I get it. Even though if they were legal, 100% Glock would be like G18s, 10 grand. Who wants one?
Absolutely.
They would be selling them like hotcakes.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, that's all I got for tonight's thing. Basically, we went on a couple little tangents, but generally speaking, hey, if the company makes a public statement, look into it, think about it, and think about it from the shoes of a high corporate company who's making lots of firearms. They got to say certain things publicly, just like we were at Goals and the guy from Rare Breed had to go around and hand out the cease and
Oh,
desist and stuff, and he was handing them out there at that public event to everybody there that had the super safety style um, devices, and he's like, "I'm court ordered to do this because it's part of the settlement for these to be legal and for this patent design to be approved. Is I have to go do this." So yeah, it sucks and it's stupid, but it's following the whole legal cycle of our legal system. Whether you agree with it or not, that's just what it is.
yeah. And if I could say one last thing is, especially when we have control of the Senate, and I think politics in general are a theater and not particularly for the common man, but we're fighting, especially the 2A community. We are fighting way too much on all fronts. We can't be die on the I want full gun control or full auto hill. I want no tax stamps on SBRs, no tax stamps on suppressors. You know what I mean? We need to focus and congregate our collective force behind one thing and get that take. I think suppressors and SBRs need to be of all our concern. You know what I mean? If we can handle that, then we would have a fighting footing for taking care of whatever comes next. We can't fight 18 battles all at once.
Yeah, and pick the smaller ones first, and that way you feel better about your little victories, and take on the bigger ones when you got more behind you. I agree. Um, that'll about do it for tonight's Tactical Tuesday talk. Quick little news at the end here. Our giveaway for our 1,000 follower giveaway will end tomorrow at midnight. So if you haven't already entered in, share that post it's pinned to the top of our page. Go to that. You can share it, tag two of your friends. Make sure you're following us on YouTube and Instagram. That's all you got to do to enter. It's really easy. Most of everybody that's seeing it's already following us. It's going to be a sweet package, almost $400 value that's going to you. So get on that, share it. It ends tomorrow, and then Friday, I'm gonna Friday or Saturday, I can't remember the date I picked. We're gonna do another live where I'm gonna put it into a randomizer wheel, and we're gonna pick a random winner that's gonna be able to get a cool package. So, anything last from you, and tell them where they can find you, Dylan.
Absolutely. I just want to say thank you so much for having me on. You are a amazing person to be a part of this community. I absolutely will die on the Klecker Tactical Holsters Hill. You can find me at Prepared Fatherhood here on Instagram or at The Prepared Father on YouTube. If you want to email me, my email is in both my IG and my YouTube bio. Thank you.
Cool. Well, guys, take care. You guys all have a good night, and we will catch you here on the next one. So stay safe and carry with confidence.
God bless.